I have been invited for a TEDx talk. So I'm here to talk about something that all of us have been hearing way too often, which is the pandemic, right? Pandemic has been terrible for all of us, yes. But uh, for me, it has been slightly different. I'm here to talk about how the pandemic saved my business. And that sounds very weird, right? Because pandemic really destroyed a lot of businesses. And I could have been one of the victims of what the pandemic did. But it all started from a great period that I was going through. So let's roll back to January, February 2020, right? This was that point of time in my life when things were going really smooth. Uh, we had built an app which was basically connecting people around them in the same location, right? And that was quite amazing because people were suddenly able to network with other people without being awkward. So it will be very weird if I just come to somebody in the crowd and I'm like, hey, my name is Shaurya, would you want to have a conversation with me? Right? That would be very, very creepy. And therefore, I wanted a product which could solve the problem for that. A product that could automatically help people connect with the kind of people that they were looking for. As simple as that. So we had acquired a lot of users, a lot of people were using the product. Things were going good. We were in the process of raising a very big round. We were in talks with a lot of investors at that point of time. And then we heard something called coronavirus, right? And like I think a lot of world leaders, I also did not take it very seriously. And I was like, maybe nothing is going to happen. It is there and it's probably going to go away like all the other diseases. And the first impact that I saw of this coronavirus was that investors started to postpone their meetings. Okay, they started to come and tell me that, hey, we can't have it next week, so we'll probably do it next month. And initially, I did not suspect anything. We were doing fine. I was cool with it, but then I started to get different kind of emails from the investors that we were in touch with, right? They started talking about COVID and they started letting us know that financially things are very uncertain for them in the market. Therefore, it's probably not the best time for them to invest, okay? Again, being an entrepreneur and having been rejected more than the biggest Majnoos of the world, I was ready for that. I did not really, get bothered by that entire process. So at this point of time, what I decided to do was just focus on building a business, right? And we already had an investor who had invested in us in the past, and this was actually an incubator backed by Delhi government. Things were fine. 1 month down the line, I got a call, and this is exactly when things started to go down. When our investors told us that they would not be able to process the next fund release, right? So these were the funds that had been promised to us on paper. And suddenly we did not have money to survive for anywhere more than 2 months, right? Uh, I had been asked by my friends to sit for placements, forced, and I did. But I had been able to bag a lot of jobs. But then I decided to say no to them when things were looking good. And now I had just one last job opportunity in my hand at this point of time, right? So my co-founder Rajan, he came to me, and I'm lucky to have an incredibly supportive co-founder. So he came and told me that it'll probably be great if I actually join that job. And it made a lot of logical sense at that point of time. But for me, I could see that dream crashing. And I think we all get into that point in our lives when everything starts to fall, right? I mean, when things on the personal front are not working out, on the professional front you're not feeling okay, your health is not really being very supportive, and at that point of time you really start to doubt yourself. And I think that's the point of time when I started to slip into depression. I got into a mode where I was not able to get up from my bed. And I think very few people really talk about depression in India and how it works, right? So if you're depressed and you are trying to come out of your bed and your grandmother comes and tells you, beta ki sabji le aa, right? So that entire process of just getting up and buying vegetables for your grandmother can be extremely hard, right? And that's exactly how things were turning out for me. So if buying vegetables was turning out to be so hard, then obviously the process of running an entire organization, which had so many people working, was turning out to be harder. At this point of time, I think I started to have certain realizations. The first one was, whenever we are cornered in our lives, I mean, even if all of you right now look back at your lives, you'll realize that you have grown the most when you have been cornered, when you have been pushed to a situation where you really don't know what to do. And I don't know what happens at that point of time, but something in your mind, something in your heart helps you become a better person. So you evolve, right? And this evolution really helps you to move on and fight the circumstances that you were facing at that point of time. And this is exactly why I call it the painful aha moment, right? It was aha, so therefore it was painful in the literal sense for me, right? And that is the case for all of us. And this realization further made me think about what goes on when people learn. So during the pandemic, we all know almost everyone was spending a lot of time in developing their skills so that they can get jobs. And we started to see a similar trend on our app. A lot of people were looking for mentors. They were looking for skill development. They were looking to network with mentors. And this entire willingness to do that made me realize that people are still right now struggling from the pain of growing out of the misery that they are now facing. Can we really create an experience for them where they are able to learn the things that they want to while being nurtured by the right people? What if there were a set of people who can sit down with them, people who are working with the top brands that they would actually want to work with at some point of time in their lives, sit down, learn live, apart from, of course, being taken care of in terms of getting the right content, learning by doing, and of course, being certified at the end of the day and getting some credibility in the market. What if we could create an experience like that? And we started with this experiment. We reached out to 30 of my friends, and of course, Rajan's friends. And a lot of these people showed a lot of interest. And we were able to get 30 customers in a span of 3 days. This is the experiment that happened. But coming from a middle class family, I knew that this was not sufficient for me to sustain myself, and I couldn't really ask for capital from my parents. Of course, your parent, I've been lucky to, of course, have very, very supportive parents who have been always encouraging me to follow my passion. But I knew that we had limitations as a family, right? So at this point of time, I had one experiment which had worked out, and I had 15 days to say yes or no to the last job offer that I had, right? And this is the point of time when I had to make a decision. Should I be okay with that experiment and just give everything on that and somehow make it good enough for my organization to sustain, survive, because fundraising was extremely hard at this point of time? Or I give up on everything and jump into the job and try to manage things along the way, right? I think at this point of time, I took the leap of faith. I decided to go for it. I just called my recruiter, let him know that, I'm glad that he trusted me, but I would want to work on this. And that is when things started to really work out, right? Things started to pick up momentum. Things started to happen. And we reached the stage of what I called the temporary yay, right? Why is it temporary yay? Because we as entrepreneurs, all of my friends, at least what we've realized, is success in the entrepreneurial world is very, very temporary, right? Because if you are enjoying your life at this point of time, if things are going good, and you don't keep track of what's going on, you're very likely to falter and crash. So entrepreneurship is literally like driving a car behind a drunken truck driver, okay, who has a lot of stuff kept on the back, and it's open, so it keeps falling on you, right? And it can fall at any point of time in the entire day. So even you have to be awake at all times to make sure that you're navigating the car right. And most importantly, it's not about your life as the driver, but also the life of the people who are depending upon you, your stakeholders, your shareholders, your investors, your customers, of course. Right? So things worked out for me. But I looked back at this, when I talked about understanding the need of introspection, I realized that this entire process of how I came out of the professional distress can be translated into a process that can be followed by everyone. And this is what I'll be talking about today. Cool. So talking about the process of conquering professional distress. I think a lot of people are going to come and tell you, don't stop hustling. Don't sleep at night, just work, right? Hustle culture has taken over the entire world. I'm seeing school kids in 5th, 6th standard now learning how to code, applying for internships. I mean, if you think about it, the entire process is always about creating a balance in which you can sustain yourself, a balance in which you can do well, right? And therefore, it's important to think negative. Don't be that uncle who's watching a plane crashing down and being like, oh, it's not going to fall, beta. It'll fly away from here. It's just not going to fall. Until and unless the plane literally crashes on his house, he would not care about it, right? And I'm seeing so many people doing this these days on social media. No matter what happens, stay positive, right? And I think that is quite stupid. Because for a person who is undergoing depression, is feeling cornered, doesn't have their stuff taken care of, for that person, this just adds to the pressure. You start feeling guilty about not being productive. And I'm pretty sure that that is something a lot of you might have felt. You know, motivational speakers coming and talking about how you should not be breathing if you've not done something with your life. I think all of us are trying to accomplish something in our lives. But we are facing our own set of circumstances, drawbacks, setbacks. And if we don't recognize them, and if we don't understand that it's okay to think negative, we would never stop the toxicity that's coming out of it. Secondly, when you do think negative, there's something called Murphy's Law, right? Things go wrong. Everything that's bound to go wrong will go wrong. You end up preparing yourself for the worst situations, for the worst circumstances, right? And when you do that, you mentally become very strong. In this entire process, you are able to understand that it's okay if things don't go right. So again, going back to the experiment that I had, when we were actually talking about learning, the most common emotions that are associated with learning are shame and confusion. And that is so sad, right? Because we are way too scared. We fear. We are scared of actually becoming better, because if we don't do that, somebody's going to probably step over us. And that entire process bogs us down. So what's the worst thing that can happen to you if things don't go right? And when you think about it, you will be able to feel that you do have the strength to face those situations. Thirdly, do not chug. So I think all of us have been socially in a position where we go to a bar for the first time and we have these group of friends who are like, chug, 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 and they're just surrounding you and they're just asking you to drink, right? And I've seen a lot of people, ending up consuming alcohol. But having said that, that's how society works, right? Think about that Sharma ji who's coming and selling you engineering, engineering, engineering. Or a lot of Sharmajis combining together and doing that for you and your parents further gathering around you and asking you to chug and take that subject that you're not interested in. This pressure goes to a level where it becomes very difficult for you to say no to it, right? Therefore, it's very important to remind yourself that you should do something that you really believe in, because that is the only way that you would be able to face things when they go wrong. Fourthly, gain momentum. A lot of people will come and tell you, dream big. I mean, it's easy to dream big, right? And then some people are going to come and tell you that you should immediately take action towards it. Have you seen anyone go for a long jump by just staying stationary and then taking a jump? Right? If I try to do this, I would not be able to cover a lot of distance. I might be able to cover a lot of height if I generate more effort, right? But if I really want to cross the distance, I have to make sure that I'm building momentum, right? And you need to understand that if you want to get past that distress period, whatever path you are taking, you're supposed to put in the momentum. You are supposed to take those steps which helps you generate some speed before you take that leap. Only then the leap of faith is going to make any sense, right? And I think that is something that you guys need to remember when you are handling professional distress. And I think it's very easy for somebody like me to come over here and preach, right, how it's easy to handle professional distress. And I think a lot of people have lost so much during the pandemic that it's not easy to just take up a formula and apply it in your lives, right? Therefore, my suggestion for you guys is to just remember one thing out of my TED talk, or for that matter, the TED talk of the other speakers that you've seen today. That just remember one thing, and that one thing is, in the voice of a very renowned news anchor, the nation is telling you this is your show. And you own it. So nobody else can do that for you. And for my Hindi viewers, ये आपका show है. आपका ही show रहेगा. So remember this. This is the formula and this is what you're supposed to apply to your life. Thank you so much. That's it from my end.